So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Stephanie Yu, and I'm a senior public relations major with a minor in media relations. And today I'm going to be talking to you about my personal experience while pursuing the entertainment industry. So cutthroat, showbiz or show business, and corrupted are three different words that most people use to describe the entertainment industry. And although these may be true in part, on my personal experience that I've had with the entertainment industry, it's actually been the exact opposite, and even at times encouraging. So my journey here at Biola has been an interesting roller coaster ride, full of ups and downs, as many of Biola students would say. And by now as seniors, we've heard this mission statement so many times repeated every school calendar year. But I'm going to read it to you one more time, and I'm going to encourage you to really focus on the bolded words. It reads, "The mission of Biola University is biblically centered education, scholarship and service, equipping men and women in mind and character to impact the world for the Lord Jesus Christ." After reading this, especially as graduation is approaching so close and it's really coming in sight, it made me really think and reflect about how I would impact the world for the Lord Jesus Christ after I had left Biola. A personal goal of mine was to not only grow in my faith, but professionally as well. And through Biola, I've been able to achieve both. So in my time here at Biola, I have had the incredible opportunity to intern at a company called One Iota. And One Iota actually doesn't have a definite mission statement, but there is a company description, and that reads, "One Iota is America's premier audience casting and fan engagement agency. We connect fans with the celebrities, shows, and musical events they love, and offer peerless support for all the production's audience/event production needs." And this is just a fancy way of saying we connect our fans with the celebrities that they want to see and meet, or events and shows that they would like to attend, through shows that don't have their own ticketing agency. And some of the shows that One Iota works with are The Voice, Jimmy Kimmel, Late Night with Seth Meyers, Steve Harvey, and The Late Late Show with James Corden, which I myself intern at. So on days when The Late Late Show is dark or not taping, we have the chance to log in actual office hours at an actual office versus the studio lot on CBS where The Late Late Show is taped. And during these office hours, we have very intern-like tasks. One similar to the stereotypes you see in movies and in books and online. And just an example of that, a fellow Biolan, Thomas, I don't know if you guys know him, and I spent an hour and a half sorting through neon-colored cards, like hundreds of them, and sorting them in different piles for a taping of The Voice. And then after that, we got to take painter's tape off of 200 plus ballpoint pens and then test them out as well. So that was really fun. And these are just some pictures from my journey at One Iota. The first one on the left are the interns, and that was after our first day of interning when the sun was still out and we looked so fresh and new and excited. Yeah, and we just wanted to take a picture and just remember that, and I'm so glad we did, looking back now. This middle picture are our ID badges, also very shiny and new compared to now. And I remember this day specifically because it was over 100 degrees outside and we were so gross looking, and then they were like, "Okay, go take your pictures." And I was like, "Great." And so that's why we look super shiny in those pictures. And this last one right here is our cardboard karaoke, which is just a play on words of the carpool karaoke bit that we do on our show. And this is Andrew, who owns the most incredible sunglasses, and he wears those every day at work. So as an intern at The Late Late Show, we're required to be there twice a week from 2 to 7 p.m., and that's the time that we tape the actual show. And this is just a general breakdown of the timeline. I'm just gonna go ahead and go over it really quick. So at 2 p.m., all of the interns that work that day arrive at the office, and then by 2:15, we go ahead and go over the rundown of the show, what bits are gonna be filmed, if we need to move people from the bar or the floor needs to move, or if there's a musical guest performing and there's extra audience members, we kind of go over that rundown, and then we get walkied up, which is just putting on a walkie-talkie, making sure that it works and that there are no air bubbles in the headphones. By 2:30, we make it down to our storage closet and take out 2 giant signs. One says general and priority, and then we line them up on Fairfax Avenue. And then our audience members, some of them are overcentric and actually come before 2:30, before we're even down there, and they're lining up. And then we put them in the correct lines, and then we start getting them released, which is just signing an image release form that says you're okay with being at a camera or being on camera at a taping. And we also maintain the sidewalk, and that sounds really weird, but I can't even tell you how many times we've had crazy people walk down the sidewalk with strollers, bikes, skateboards, almost hitting our audience members, and we just have to make sure that A, they don't get hit, and B, that they're just off to the side. So by 3:15, when the lines are all organized and there are no crazy people walking down the street, we start scanning our tickets, and we wristband our audience members and then send them through security, and then finally they make it onto the lot down to our holding area. And then at 4:30, once everyone is scanned through and the guests that did not make the cut, we turn them away, but we also give priority tickets for a future taping, so it's not too big of a loss, I would say. We make the last call for restrooms and the photo op with the cardboard karaoke cutout, and then we finally load our audience into the set. And at 5 p.m. we start taping the show, and this is if the day went perfectly. That's when we would start. There are some days where we start before or after. It's so crazy and time dependent, but on an ideal perfect day, 5 p.m. is when we would start taping. And then an hour, hour and a half, depending on if there's any audio issues, or sometimes the audience claps too loud and they don't sit down soon enough. We have to re-record things, but on our tickets, it does legally say that 6:30 is when we can release them. So we escort our audience off the CBS slot, wish them a good night, and then hope that they return for a future taping. Ultimately, our role as interns is to coordinate the audience and also help with various tasks on the show, such as getting guests of CEOs and executives from the green room and seating them in the studio audience. Escorting audience members if it's an emergency and they do have to go to the bathroom or they do have to leave for some reason. I've had many people saying that they have a flight to catch and then they have to go because we're in Hollywood and so it's a lot of traffic. So we escort them off the lot, and just checking for logos and sunglasses and other distracting clothing items. So working at a late night television show definitely comes with its perks. I've been able to see a wide range of celebrities at my time at the show. And to name a few of my favorites, they include the boys from the Stranger Things cast. They're super cute, very talented, and super sweet. Bryan Cranston, Mila Kunis, and Usain Bolt, who's also very tall. So this is a Korean pop boy band called BTS. And I would say when they came to the show, it was a very, or if not the most memorable moment I've had. I'm not really big into K-pop or anything, but after this and then doing further research on them, it's incredible the impact that they had on Americans, I would say. So this was memorable to me because that day was very interesting, not only for myself, but the entire staff at Late Late. Managing hundreds of crazed teenage girls was not the most fun experience, I would say, but it was an experience. So I will always refer to this day as Ear Bleeding Day, but I'll remember it mostly because of 2 specific reasons. So first, as a Korean American woman who works in an industry and at a company where it's mainly dominated by white males, it was almost refreshing and shocking to see Koreans in the office. I remember I walked up the hallway and I was just like, oh, and I almost did this like bow thing, and then I decided to walk away because I was like, this is not what I do at this office. This is so strange and foreign. Yeah, and then secondly was when I had spoken to the camera crew after this shooting, this performance, and they had to do it twice. It was awful. They had said that it was louder than when One Direction came, and so I thought that was pretty insane. So this clip I'm about to show you was one of my favorite moments on the production end because it shows the entire team just working together, and you really get to see from the other side of the camera each department doing what they do best. And just a little premise, it's Julia Roberts and James, and they act out her entire film career within like 7 minutes, but I'm just gonna show you 2 minutes at the end. Oh, I knew this would happen. Sorry, there's an advertisement. I turned ad blocker on though, I swear, okay. Oh no. The sound is not working. Oh, but I tested without it. That's annoying. On this one, it is. Damn it. Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna. Okay, just for the presentation's sake, we're gonna listen to it without sound. I'm so sorry. Oops. Okay, so this is Oceans 11 and 12. And James says, I've got a coffee, I've got tequila, and I've got these guys, and he bangs their heads. And then Julia breaks and she laughs. But she's super professional about it, and she continues. And then they continue the bit. And then this is my best friend's wedding, and then they will start singing in about 15 seconds. And unfortunately, you can't hear it, but they both have really good singing voices. Yeah, oh my gosh, you know it. And it's crazy how good she looks. She's almost 50. I think she turns 50 this year. Yeah. So I guess I'll talk about this part because there's no audio. So these rose petals are being thrown by 2 production guys on the side, and I thought that was so funny, and I couldn't stop laughing. They're literally just holding buckets, and they're like doing this. And then he says, Julia Roberts, everyone, thanks, come on back. Julia Roberts! And then it's my own little audio for you. And so the camera pans out, and you can see our studio audience and the blue screen. And that was my favorite production moment because we do film a lot of those, but then it was really fun to see all the costumes that they had to change into. And if you watch the full video, they do a bunch of wig changes and like scenes and like all this crazy stuff. So that was really cool. Boop. Okay. So what have I learned and why does it all matter? Not only has Biola taught me to stand firm in my values, but especially through the tough times, even when your career could be on the line. I've also learned how to apply and integrate the same core values that I have into the workplace, and to always patiently wait without doubt that God will provide the right opportunities at the right moment. A few things that my internship has taught me is that time is always subject to change, and that you need to maintain a very flexible schedule, and your life may depend on it. Kindness is something that people will always remember. It's a little bit cheesy, but the impact that you have on a person through your actions and your gestures and the intentionality behind it is something that people really do remember and like to bring into light in the industry, I would say. Knowing when to speak and when to listen, I think this is something that I used to struggle with a lot because I do love to talk, and just shutting up and really absorbing what people are saying to you, especially your boss, is really important. And then interacting and networking with CEOs, executive producers, and other people higher up on staff. at the end of the day, you always have to remember that they're people too, and they just also want to have a conversation, and not everything has to be about getting hired. Learning to ask for things even though they make you uncomfortable. And lastly, always to remember that success is not the ultimate end goal. As someone who is graduating and career being very high up on the list of priorities, I always have to remember that at the end, I'm here to fulfill my purpose that God has for me on this earth. And yes, He does want me to be successful in that, but that's not the ultimate end goal. So as our mission statement states, it's not only important to be a good person, but to have good character. So as I graduate this spring, I cannot wait and hope to pursue a career in the entertainment industry and impact the world for Jesus Christ. Thank you for listening, and at this time, if you have any questions, I would be more than happy to answer them.